welcome to another podcast batching day. Yay! We've got some amazing guests lined up for you today, so make sure you're tuning in at the top of every 2 hours. It is 8 a.m. Melbourne time, and we will be here at 8, at 10, and then at 12 or 1. I'll let you know as we go. But we've got some great guests. Our guest up first is, well, let's fix this for Ma so that she can edit this in post. The joys of live. Our guest today is a book strategist, publisher, and certified high performance coach who helps entrepreneurs turn knowledge, experience, and stories into powerful books that drive income, impact, and legacy. As the founder of Epiphany Consulting, he's known for transforming books into business assets, helping authors build authority, attract opportunities, and generate revenue beyond the page. And help me in welcoming the amazing, the dapper Oginga Carr. Welcome, Oginga. Yay! Give him some sparkles.
Oh my gosh, I love the sparkles. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and just get a chance to spend a little bit of time with you, Sally.
Yeah, so if you don't know, I am redoing my book, and this is the guy who's helping me, and we've had some fun times getting it all organized. But Oginga, before we get stuck into today's content, why don't you share with the audience, and I really want to know as well, like, where did you start? Like, before you become this amazing performance coach who helps so many different people, and also especially like the book path that you're on, can you share that story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it was always about team for me, always in my life. So I played team sports growing up here in the States. It played football, American football, basketball, and baseball. And so I moved on to play football in college. And so for me, I was always about how do people work together. I was fascinated by how do people work together. So being on a football field was the most unified place that I'd ever been on, because you had 11 people all facing the same direction, all wanting to do the same thing, whether they're on defense trying to stop the offense or whether on offense trying to score. And that's what they're trying to do. And so that fascinated me. And so football didn't work for me. I got injured. And so I started into my business life just trying to reproduce that and just trying to figure out how do teams work and how do people work together. And that's what led me down the path of speaking and traveling across the country and across the world speaking to audiences. And then it was like, hey, you need this asset, this book to be able to tell your story. People were like, where's your book, where's your book, where's your book, and what's your book, and what's your book, and what's your book. I would get that all the time. And I realized that, oh my gosh, I'm missing something to be able to help people. And so, what a book does for a lot of people is that allows for people to be able to take you home, from further from to be able to get to know you, be able to really be able to work together and be able to get that done. So yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a very interesting story around like how you started helping people to actually write books. Can you share that?
Absolutely. So, um, in actually 2012 is when I started actually. That was when I wrote my first book. And how it started was that in January of 2012, I'm not a big New Year's resolution person, but I started telling people my birthday's in July, and I started telling people, hey, I'm going to have a book launch on my birthday. And so it got to be like April of that year, and I was like, oh, I guess I should start writing this book that I said I was gonna put out. And so wrote the book, and it led to um, six figures of opportunities for me because books open doors for me in order to do so. So fast forward into the pandemic, um, going to go speak in person dried up pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and I started seeing all these business owners that needed help being able to tell their story. And so we started a process that was based around the same process that I took because for me, I love to talk, but I don't necessarily love to write. But I was like, I wanted to make this accessible for people where they could be able to be able to write their story and tell their story without necessarily starting out and writing, four score and 7 years ago, as they're getting ready to write it and be able to do it. And so that's where the process started for us. We started our book program in 2020, during the pandemic, and just started helping people be able to write. And now we've helped hundreds of authors be able to tell their story and be able to get it done. And now we don't just create authors; we create legacy authors. That's what it is for us. So it's all about legacy for us and being able to create that and put that together.
Yeah. And I'm loving the process of working with you as well because I just get to show up and share my story with you. And you take that and turn it into book ready content, which has been interesting and also very self reflective of the different things that I've been through over the last 10 years that has got me to this point. And some of the stories that have come out, some of them I knew were there, but I'd forgotten or I hadn't told those stories in a long time. So yeah, it's been a very interesting process, and we're only part way through. So I know you can turn a book over in about 30 days when you work with people. That's pretty awesome that you've got that system down. Well, today's topic is write it, build it, sell it, turn your story into a scalable business. So, can you share with us why do most people fail when it comes to writing a book and why isn't it about discipline?
So most of the time, the reason that people fail when they're writing, it's not about the discipline of it, like you said. It is that they just stop. So they don't continue to keep going and don't continue to keep working at it and being able to move through it because it just feels like it go into overwhelm. You're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. But if you just start with the story and just start, so just like what you were talking about. So everyone who's listening to this, you have a story. You have a story of how it was that you lost the weight. You have a story of how it is that you made it through that situation. You have a story of how it was that it was great in this time. Whatever it is, you just start with the story and you build that as an infrastructure and an ecosystem which builds around that. It's all very story based, is what it is, because that's what it is. If you think about it, the things in your life, the things that have given you the most influence in your life, the things that have been there, they all were based in stories. And so we have the story that's there, but instead we get paralysis by analysis and we get stuck in thinking that we need to write formally and write it to be able to create it. So many times before we even write it, we speak it. And so we speak it and put it out. And now we have all of these tools in order to be able to truly be able to capture and be able to move forward to do it, whether that's here on Zoom, whether that is the recorder on your phone, whatever it is that can record these thoughts. And now we can take those and really be able to organize them and put them in the right space and be able to do that.
Yeah, I know when
Yeah,
I
I know
did the first book, it was hard sitting there looking at a blank page and I just started typing and then it's just a mess of words. I love what I'm seeing come back from you. It's structure and it is in a way that's easy to consume. It's not a fiction book, right? This is a book that is educational. That's mostly what you help people with, right? Writing books that are
right.
education. Can you explain a bit more around that and why it's important?
So the reason why it is that we work in that space is that there all of us have something to be able to teach to this world. And so I'm a framework junkie, is what I am. So I love, excuse me, I love to create frameworks. And so in creating those frameworks, for me, it's like, hey, the way that you think about this thing is original to you. But it may be original to you, but you still have a tribe of people who are going to think about those things in that way and who they're really going to be. So we have to really niche down. We say niches gets riches. And so we have to really be able to niche down into it and say, here it is, and here's that space in order to do so. So it might be something that you say in minute 18 of a conversation that really is the leading piece that comes around with it. But when we just talk through our thoughts, it allows us to be able to do it. So in our process, what we do is that we lay out those chapters first. We lay out what the chapter subjects are, and then we ask questions that elicit great stories that come from that for each one of those chapters. So by doing that, you have those great stories, but they're building around a structure and a framework that allows for you to be able to teach. And so if you can teach it, then that's really where the difference comes in it. You know, we used to when I was on the road, all the time be like, you know, you remember so much of a percentage of what it is that you hear, so much of a percentage of what it is that you write, and so much of a percentage of what it is that you actually teach.
Mm.
So what you're actually doing by writing your book is that you're becoming better at whatever it is that you do because you're teaching it. And when you teach that, that allows for people to be able to grow.
Oh, look, I have a really good saying that I use all the time, which is the best way to learn is to teach. And definitely, when I first started building automations and trying to understand funnels and how all the pieces link together, teaching it live to people every day or every week that I was doing as I was learning, it really helped to solidify that. And also, look, I was doing a particular type of therapy. It's called ACT therapy, acceptance commitment therapy. And it was a group session I'd go to, but every Thursday I'd do the session, but then I'd come home and I would do Thoughtful Thursday and I would just go live and teach on some of the frameworks that I learned during the group coaching, the group therapy session. So, again, great way to learn is to teach. And with the way you're interviewing me, I am finding that I'm doing a lot of reflecting on my story and my past, and and then seeing it come back to me. Oops, sorry, come back to me with your structure is really, really cool. So, what role do structure and positioning really play in the actual finishing of the book?
So where that plays into it is that we can all tell a story. We can all loop together a story and be able to talk and and what we see with our clients all the time, we're like, oh well, I feel like I'm just kind of talking in circles, but you're not. You're actually puking these golden nuggets that come up. That's what happens. And so within your talk, something comes out that's amazing that you had no idea that even came. And so what we do is string those golden nuggets together, and then that's where that structure comes from. And so no matter what, we'll find a real um, framework that comes along with it. And then when that framework is with it, then now or if you come to it with a framework, many people. So if you're a business owner and you've been out teaching something, then you have a way that you do things. And so it might be the wave framework, or it might be the whatever it is that you do, right? So now we can take that framework that is that you've been working in and then tie your stories to that. And now that becomes an asset. And so now we move from it becoming a book and a product to becoming an asset. And then that asset lives in what we like to call the integrated product suite. And so within that integrated product suite, it's just like a pool, is what it's like. Okay. So when you enter into zero entry into a pool, that's where you get your feet wet. So people get to know your business and your life through this zero entry pool that's there, right? And so that might be through something that is a free product or something they get. They might just get something from you on social that they get. They may be getting videos from you on YouTube or whatever along those lines that are free. Your book sits in what would be the 3 feet of that pool. When you're in the 3 feet of the pool, you are comfortable. Think about it. When you're inside of a pool, you're comfortable at that point in time. When you're in the 3 feet, the water is waist deep for you. You've adjusted. You're not hot. You're not cold. That's where your book sits because it allows for people to be able to really be there and work within that. But then there's the 4 to 5 feet. So for me, I'm 6'7", so the 5 feet is only about chest high or so with me. But some people it's like
I'd be
neck high
nearly
or whatever
underwater.
along with it. Exactly, you're nearly underwater with it. But at that 5, maybe you're bobbing up and down at that 5, but you're there, but you're really immersed in what is going on at that point in time. So now that might be the next level of whatever your business is or whatever it is that you create with that. And then, see, I lifeguarded when I was in college. Um, And when I used to lifeguard, the kids, in order for them to be a lifeguard at a community pool, and so the kids they had to take a test in order to be able to get to the deep end. They had to show me they could swim across the pool because what I didn't want to do was get wet and dive into the water and have to go save somebody. So luckily, I lifeguarded for an entire summer, didn't have to save anybody, so it was good. Okay, we didn't want that for us to happen. But for someone to get into the deep end of what it is that you do, your higher programs, your bigger pieces, your more one-on-one things, then they have to kind of pass through all these areas of the pool to be able to get in to get to that deep end. And now we have this entire ecosystem that's built around that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that. And I like the fact that, your book is a little deeper than those first initial lead magnets. And I guess, like we always talk about your lead magnets being the doorway, right? It's just the first
Hmm.
step in. But when somebody's got a book sitting on their kitchen table or in their bookshelf, they've got a piece of you, really, right? I think about all the book funnels I've been through, and I'll generally buy them because
Hmm.
they're not expensive. It's usually pay postage only or something like that.
Hmm.
But you get to physically hold it. And who throws away books? Like, not many people throw away a book, right? Or they'll donate it or something. So it kind of just lives out there as well. So I'm so excited to get and redo. Well, like totally, like not even redoing. I'm just keeping the name and rewriting the entire thing because I loved the name. Um,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. But look, once somebody has got that book, right? They've published it. How can a book then become revenue generating and become an asset rather than just like a product that people have?
So the way that it becomes generating, becomes an asset, is that you use it as that ticket to that next level and to that next part of the pool. So someone can read a book of yours, but there's going to be people who are going to raise their hands who then need more help. And so basically, the deeper that we get into the pool, to use a pool example, the more that you are personally involved in it. So when you write a book, yeah, you're personally involved, but you write it and you produce it. People still talk to me about things it is that I wrote in a book 10 years ago. I have to remember what it is they're talking about as far as like people will come up to me and like they have my book. And like you said, it feels like they know you. They own a piece of you. You put a piece of you out into the world and that's there. But that was something that I did 10 or 12 years ago with that. But like the next step after that book then needs to be some more in-depth training into it. If we're in a business book, has to be some more of an in-depth training that's there. And so now they get into that in-depth training, and now that's something that they have more of an investment in. You're more, they're more, they're more invested in your time. But then you get into that deep end, then that's something that you're really spending time with them and doing so. I had to pay attention to the kids that were in the deep end of that pool because hey, look, if someone goes in the water, then that's a real issue that's going on with that. So your attention is there. If you think about it in the pool, if you walk into a pool at a resort, the majority of the people are in that splash zone area and in that 3 foot area. So the majority of the people who actually interact with you are going to interact with your free to low cost different things that are there with you.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
the more serious people are the people who are immersed or who are swimming laps back and forth in the deep end.
Yep.
Those are people who really love the water and love the pool. Those are the people who really love what it is that you do as well too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an exciting space that you're in to be able to help people leave that legacy, right? Once it's on paper and it's written down, that can go on for generations. Look what my great 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 whoever wrote, right? So that's pretty cool. Now around writing or publishing, what's one belief that you strongly disagree with when it comes to people writing and publishing books?
That you have to be some sort of a major expert in order to be able to write. Now, I think that people think, oh my gosh, I need to have 10 years of experience before I write something. That's not true. Now, unfortunately, because of how things are, anybody can write a book. And so therefore you find people just kind of throwing anything out there as well too.
Mm-hmm.
For it to be a legacy author, then it's about you having a story and about you being able to have a structured way, in order to tell that story. That's what it really is. So you don't have to have been in business for 40 years to come back and write a book to be able to tell about what it is that you've done. You might have done something for 3 years now, and it might be the best way and the best process of doing this, and you use that. You might have just been around other people and studied other people who've done amazing stuff. One of the greatest books that people quote all the time is Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill hadn't done anything when he wrote that book. He went out and studied great millionaires and billionaires, and then spoke about what it was that they did and what he learned from them. So there's different ways. You don't
Mm,
have to be the guru in order to
yeah.
be able to do it. It's not about the guru. It's not about being the guru anyway. It's about being as relatable as possible and people being able to work together.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Think and Grow Rich is such a great book, and I'm one for quoting lots of different books myself. I don't
Mhm,
read
mhm.
per se, although I can read. Don't get me wrong, but I listen.
Right,
I'm an audible kind of person.
right.
So, um, re- do you help them turn that book into an audio book as well?
Yes, we help them to turn into an audiobook, but really the bigger piece of the asset is by placing that book now into that integrated product suite and saying, okay, now what's the next step? What's the next step behind the book?
Yeah,
So, okay, we have this book. We've laid out this structure within this book. That's teachable. What we like to do is it is in our chapter pieces is to be able to take it to where each one of our chapters becomes teachable in its own asset by itself as well too. So
mm,
now we've got 10 chapters. So now I've got 10 assets that I can teach from. That is, I can teach about this part. Just so if I need to do, so for me, because I'm an old Toastmaster, then I always think about things as far as in, 7-minute speeches. But, if you got a 10-minute, you got a 30-minute, you have an hour, you have a half day, you have a full day, everything, your content from your book can take and be that. That's what
yeah,
started with my book, is that I started being able to say, okay, I can go teach this as a half day, or I can go teach this as a full day, because all we're doing is taking these pieces and expanding upon them, or taking these pieces and constricting and just saying we're just talking about them, just glancing over them, depending on the length of time. So now with that length of time, we're able to grow it and be able to take it and go further.
yeah, I love that. And you're a framework junkie just like me. And that's, I guess, what the chapters are around, right? We have a signature method or a framework that us as service providers we follow or we, help people with. So that's what the chapters are all like each step within your method or framework. And I love that we can, and what a great talking point when you're on a stage or you're running a challenge or you're running a webinar. Like I've taken this from chapter 4 from my book, and let's dive deeper beneath the words in the book. So that's, yeah, really cool. I'll be using it a lot once we're finished.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited about what it's going to be. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, same. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who feels that they're not ready to write, what would that be?
So be like Nike and just do it. That's the biggest piece. Really do it. Just do it. You don't think that you're ready, but you are ready because you have all of these things that have gone on in your life. And I need to actually look up and see. There was a graduation speaker that spoke at a graduation, and he said that that if you are one in a million, that's great. Your parents tell you you're one in a million, and you feel really special. But if you're in a million in the world, then we look at how many millions there are in the 8.7 billion in the world. You're actually still one of 8,700 if you're one in a million in the world. Okay, so think about that. Your story, your individual story that you have, is still something that's going to fit for 8,700 people around the world, because you were one in a million, even if you're a one in a million person. So that tribe in itself, that 8,700, that tribe within itself is enough for you to have spoken to them and be able to speak to them and be able to create for them. So the more that we niche down into it and have structure to what we do, there's no need to wait. You are wasting it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just like, we throw books out there. We just create a book. We're like, okay, well, I've got AIs now, and I saw an ad on AI that says I can write an entire book in a day, and so it's cool. That's great. You're right. You can. It won't have any of your structure. It won't have anything that you have. It won't be put together in the way that you want it to be. What we want to do is make sure that we use the tools, absolutely, but that we use them responsibly. That's what makes the difference in what it is that we create and what it is that we do. If we can use it responsibly and be able to pull it together, that's what makes that difference.
Yeah, and you can tell when people have just used AI and haven't used it properly. You can just hear it in the way you're reading it. Because I tried to do it myself and it's
Mhm.
subpar, right? Because
It is.
one, you have built the structure, you have the framework, and also it just makes my life easier, to be honest, because I've been putting it off for a really long time. And having you kind of make me show up, make me tell stories is making me finish. I remember listening to Amy Porterfield when she was writing her book, and she had to dedicate every week time to write this book. I find it so much easier working with you because, sure, I have to dedicate it, but I've got somebody there to pull it out of me versus me just, like you said before, spinning and just going around in my head and not sure if this story is correct, where the way in which you question brings out more stories. I remember a few times I said, "Oh, sorry, I went off on a tangent." And you're like, "No, no, that's good. That's good. That's what you're looking
Absolutely.
for is those elaborations and other tangents and one story leads to another." But even just looking back through the first draft, I'm like, "Yeah, this is good, right?"
Mhm.
And you saw it from a different perspective as the listener versus me just rambling off all of these stories and then not what thinking, how am I going to put this together in the right order? That's where you step in. Now, your business is called Epiphany Consulting, and your book is all about legacy, right? And what does legacy mean to you beyond just business success?
So for me, legacy is completely different than it was even 4 years ago. So I have something that we like to call mortality motivation. And so when you have mortality motivation, your life is completely different. So back in 2022, I was on the road traveling, working, but I was feeling really sick, honestly. I'd had COVID and I ended up having long COVID. And so I was feeling really sick and I just wasn't feeling right. I was having this swelling that was going on in my legs. And so I took the time off the road. I was in bed with a client because I was doing consulting work with a client on site, and it was a very high stress situation, crazy high stress situation. So I took the time off. I said I'm going to take Monday and not come back on Monday and go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and they ended up doing an angiogram. They did an angiogram, and he was only in for like in my legs, and he was only in for like 5 minutes. He came back out and he was like, "Hey, look, you have blockage in your heart." And he was like, "This is a situation that it would have you that somebody would have found you. That's basically the way it was going to work, doing so." And so I had to have surprise open heart surgery, which that's never fun as far as surprise. And after that open heart surgery, I know it's like that, like surprise. Here we go.
Yes,
So after that
surprise.
open heart surgery, I know, right? That's it. But after that open heart surgery, I was in ICU after the surgery. Everything had gone well. I was sitting up on the side of my bed, drinking grape juice, talking to my mom, and all of a sudden the lights went out. And so the lights went out, and my heart stopped. And so I stopped. My heart stopped for 2 minutes. I was gone for 2 minutes, and so only because I was in ICU, that's the only reason why I'm still here, because somebody was actually looking at my heart monitor at the moment that I flatlined and did so. So they came in and did the shocks and all those different things and those things with it. And so I had to learn how to walk again, to talk again, to get back around. And so I was so scared because like having going without oxygen with your brain in that amount of time is a thing because you're concerned about it. You're concerned about like everything it was that is that's me and doing so. And so after battling through that and then losing my mom passed not long after that.
Oh,
And battling through other health issues and different things along those lines, it made me think a lot more. about my legacy here on this earth and what it is I'm going to leave here. I'm really, really smart. I have a 31-year-old and a 10-year-old. I'm really, really smart. I decided to start all the way over again. And so I am always thinking about what I'm going to leave here for my children. And it made me think about business in a different way. And it made me think about for you, for your book, and for what is it you that what are you leaving here? Like that knowledge and being able to do so. What are you leaving here? I got the opportunity, and sorry to tell an additional story, but I got the
No, all
opportunity to work
good.
with one of my mom's close friends, and so she taught for over 40 years. And so we just finished her book and did her book signing just a couple of weeks ago as we're recording this. And it's just the fact of, and she has these, it's great. It has a structure. We have framework within it and everything along those lines. There's some things about teaching that she's teaching along with it, but it's also you're telling the story. She's, 70, so she went through desegregation as a child,
Mm,
being in the South in America. Teaching and going to school in those areas and those things like that. These are the lessons that we need to know. There's lessons that you have that you've learned in your business that are necessary, and so that's what it
yeah.
really is about being a legacy author.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how scary is that? Like flatlining, having to learn to walk again. I mean, I've done the having to learn to walk again, but losing your mental capacity and having to learn to speak again, that would be so scary. And coming out of that and then not only creating your own legacy, but helping so many other people now create theirs, must feel amazing. And I'm sure when you look at all of these authors that you're now helping to create their legacy, it must be so inspiring and humbling at the same time. I know it is like that for us when we help people turn their idea into income and then passive revenue. But more than anything, it's it's the way they feel, right? Like just the thought of having that book in your hand, right? It's a proud moment for the author, but you get to participate in that part of their journey. It's that's pretty awesome what you do, Oginga, and yeah, definitely amazing. All right, well, we are at the fast talk segment of the episode, so this is where I ask you
Awesome.
questions. You got 2 minutes, and we get through as many of them as possible. Ma puts the questions together, our podcast manager, and she always starts off pretty easy for you, but I don't know the questions until we get to this segment either. So I'm always interested to see what they are and what your answers are going to be. Are you ready for fast talk?
I'm ready. Let's
All
do it. I love
right,
game
let's
shows.
do it. All righty. So, first question, writing or speaking?
Speaking.
Book or course?
Ooh, force.
Print or digital?
Print.
Online first or write as you go? Oh, sorry, outline first or write as you go?
Outline first, definitely.
Morning writing or late night writing?
I'm a late night person.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Ooh, tea. Tea for
Tea.
me.
Oh, I'm a coffee girl. Storytelling or strategy?
Ooh, ooh. Strategy.
Inspiration or discipline?
Inspiration.
Self publishing or traditional publishing?
Self, all the way.
Love that. Short chapters or long chapters?
Hmm. I think short chapters are fine.
Yeah. Authority or visibility?
Cool authority.
Impact or income?
Income.
Cha-ching. Funnel or free content?
Funnel.
One
Okay.
big idea or multiple ideas?
One big idea that branches out.
Yeah. All right. Personal story or professional expertise?
Ooh, personal story.
build your audience first or write your book first?
Write your book first. It'll build
Uh,
on it. It'll be built, they'll come.
yeah. And what's one word to describe your business journey?
Ooh, magical.
Magical. I love it. Oh dear, hang on a second. I've lost Oginga. Here he is. There we go.
Okay, I got you. Yes,
All
I
right, now
love it.
Ma,
I love it.
you love that. Now Ash just said on the live stream, she says, "Give me an 800 page book any day." This girl has a library in her house. However, I must say she loves to
Oh my
read.
God.
I've never seen like
Yeah,
she reads our stuff. I'm like, I can't keep up with how fast this girl reads. So, and she reads and retains, which is amazing. All right,
that is
now
amazing.
Ma always gets me to ask this question. So you've got to say the sentence and then complete it yourself. So the sentence is, "My name is Oginga Carr and I sparkle because," and then you complete the sentence.
Okay. My name is Oginga Carr, and I sparkle because I care. Like
Oh,
I care about what's next and what's great for other people.
oh, that is so lovely, Oginga. Okay, so next is if people want to find, oops, wrong button. Where did I put it? That is not it. Hang on, I'll find it. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. This is the one I think I'm looking for. Yes, this scene right here. If people want to find out more about you, they want to go stalk you and see what you're all about, where's the best place to find you?
So you find me on all social media platforms. Luckily, I have a pretty original name with Oginga Carr. As far as that, you can go to ogingacarr.com. That leads you over to our book blueprint challenge. We're running our next book blueprint challenge, which is our challenge, our 5-day challenge when we work together and just really walk you through the entire process of creating a book and really focus for business owners and being able to do so with that. The next challenge is going to be May 4th to the 8th is when that's going to be.
Excellent.
But feel free to do that. Yes.
Yeah, and no matter when you're listening to this episode, I know that you run these book challenges regularly. So just head to the
Yes.
website and have a look at whatever the next upcoming date is. That they get some great transformation inside those workshops, and I've heard some really great things about the challenge itself. So you're going to learn so much in there around your ideas and how to structure your book, how to monetize it, and yeah, it's a great challenge. So definitely head over. We'll put the links for that around this in the show notes for the podcast as well. Awesome. Well, Ojinga, as always, so lovely to catch up with you. And as we finish up today, what would you say to somebody out there that is like, okay, I think it is my time to write a book, but I'm not sure how to start? What would you say?
So I would say it's time. It is your time to start. If you think that it's your time, it is your time to start. And I would love to be one to help you. In this year, you may be watching this in a later time, but in this year, my goal has been to help 500 authors be able to tell their stories. And so I would love if you'd be one of my 500 the people to tell their stories, get their stories out, be able to get it done. I turned 50 this year, and so it's 500 by 50. That's what it is. But it is, if you think it's your time, it is your time. It's time to go ahead and go
Awesome.
get it and go do it and get it done.
Awesome. Yes. So make sure you reach out and let us know as well if you do connect so that we can follow along and check out your book when it's done. How exciting. All
Absolutely.
right. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Never let anyone dull your sparkle. And stay tuned. Our next guest is coming up at, let me just double check my calendar for those people who are following along for the live podcast batching day today at 10 a.m. Melbourne time. We have our next podcast guest. So tune in, set a reminder. Best thing to do is hit that notification bell over on YouTube because then you will get that ping when we go live. All right, Ojenga, let's give him a wave. We'll head on out and we'll see you guys in about an hour and a bit. Bye for now.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art.